An alleged internal document from Ubisoft reveals that the company is doubling down on the woke ideology that it has been spreading and seemingly will not be disciplining its employees for outright racism. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And an alleged internal Ubisoft document does indeed declare representation is part of our DNA, and the company firmly stands for diversity and inclusion. This document was shared to social media, specifically X, by YouTuber The Quartering, aka Jeremy Hambley. The document begins saying, first, we want to make it very clear that we do not accept hate, harassment, and other forms of abuse in any way. And we are deeply saddened to see the negativity and hatred currently spreading on our coworkers' personal profiles and on our and our partners' social media platforms. If that was indeed true, we would have seen Shauna Jones walked out to the door, but we'll get to that here in a little bit, and we haven't seen that, so they're lying. Nevertheless, this internal document continues saying we are proud to represent the diversity and inclusion that exists in society as part of our everyday work. Representation is part of our DNA and will remain that way regardless of external pressure or influences. Only if your company is around to still exist. Otherwise, it won't. And it looks like your company is heading down the path of extinction. Next, the document instructs this: if you are exposed to or witness any negative behaviors towards your colleagues online, do not hesitate to reach out to your manager, Arcade HR, or the communications team. We are here to help. Should a situation escalate to a point where you feel unsafe, please contact the Ubisoft Security and Risk Management team. SRM has a team of dedicated staff to manage security concerns. They will assess the severity of the situation and provide personalized guidance. As always, report immediate and severe personal safety concerns to your local emergency number. Given the current polarization of this topic online, we believe that having a respectful and constructive dialogue is difficult, if not impossible, to achieve. In this context, we ask you not to engage in or interact with these conversations, as this could worsen the situation for yourself, our teams, and our industry peers. You can also set your accounts to private and or turn off private messages from people who are not in your list of trusted friends. Do this across all your social accounts, even if you are only receiving unwelcome messages on certain platforms. The portion of the document that was shared to social media by The Quartering then concludes, Ubisoft firmly stands for diversity and inclusion in our workplace and our games, and we believe there is no room for hate in gaming. So that is what the internal document says. There is portions of it that it looks like it continues. It's unclear how much further there is, but that's pretty much what we've got from The Quartering. Unsure if he had any more to add to it, or that was just what he was given. Obviously, cannot prove the veracity of it, but it looks pretty official given the fact that it has an Ubisoft email for you to contact that has been blacked out for the Ubisoft security and risk management team. As for what exactly it's in response to, it's unclear. Obviously, it has to do with diversity and inclusion, but could also potentially be a lot of other things that the company has embroiled itself in. And Ubisoft has embroiled itself in numerous controversies over the past year. Back at the end of January, we saw the company's director of subscriptions, Philippe Tremblay, telling games industry one of the things we saw is that gamers are used to a little bit like DVD having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at another time, your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. You don't lose what you've built in the game or your engagement with the game. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. As he said in that first paragraph there, he did indicate that gamers would still have access to their games. He said, I still have 2 boxes of DVDs. I definitely understand the gamer's perspective with that. But as people embrace that model, they will see that these games will exist. The service will continue, and you'll be able to access them when you feel like. That's reassuring. Streaming is also a thing that works really well with subscription. So you pay when you need it as opposed to paying all the time. However, it would appear that was a complete and utter lie, as the company completely shut down The Crew, earlier this month. It announced back in December in a blog post today the Crew 1, including all its editions and virtual currency packs, will be delisted from all online stores. The game will remain playable until March 31st, 2024 for all the Crew 1 owners. After this date, the servers will be shut down, which means that the game will not be accessible anymore on any platform, including PC, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Amazon Luna, and Ubisoft Plus. The company explained, "We understand this may be disappointing for players still enjoying the game, but it has become a necessity due to upcoming server infrastructure and licensing constraints. Decommissioning a game, and especially our first one, is not something we take lightly. Our goal remains to provide the best action-driving gameplay experience for players and to deliver on it. We are continuing to provide new content and support for the Crew 2 and the recently launched The Crew Motorfest." In the beginning of April, players revealed they no longer had access to the game and their license on Ubisoft Connect had been revoked. Even on Steam, they were able to download the files, but when they tried to access the game, they required a CD key input that I don't think anyone has. So that was one major controversy that the company has been embroiled in this past year. They also got roasted for its Skull and Bones game, which players lampoon for its steep price tag and lack of gameplay elements. The game currently has a 3.4 user score on Metacritic across all platforms. And then according to Tom Henderson at Insider Gaming, the game only had a total of 850,000 players, and that included players with free trials, meaning sales were worse than 850,000. That report was at the end of February. Henderson said this in his article, or wrote this. "Speaking with sources, the game currently has around 850,000 players total at the time of writing, which includes those who have opted to play the game with the 8-hour free trial provided by Ubisoft." So who knows how many of those people, of those 850,000, were actually free trial players. This game is clearly an absolute dud. It's going to lose them probably tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions, given that I think there's rough estimates that this game cost upwards of $200 million. Given the fact that it had been in production for over a decade. So who knows what the real cost of that game is, since it had been in production for over a decade. Likely the biggest controversy, and the one that this internal document is actually addressing, is probably the comments made by Shauna Jones, their Star Wars Outlaws community manager. She has made numerous posts on her social media accounts disparaging white men. Remember, if we go back up to the very top of the document here, it says, "We do not accept hate, harassment, and other forms of abuse in any way." Well, that's interesting because he still employs Shauna Jones, who's done a lot of hate, harassment, and abuse. She posted this in January 2020. "If you're a white dude complaining that diversity being raised is an issue, then people are going to keep raising the lack of diversity until we see change. That crap's got to change, man." Love that if you, in September 2020, she wrote, "Love that if you say you're trying to be more body positive, white men assume that you're saying you're fat and tell you to go to the gym. I'm a size 12. Being body positive has nothing to do with weight." In July 2020, she wrote, "Please don't tell me gender isn't an issue in the games industry when you are a white male. Diversity in general is an issue in the industry. I guess as a white male who is not always represented, it's easier to not know or see the misrepresentation in studios." She also criticized streamer Ninja for not teaching about white privilege on his streams. She wrote in January 2021, "Ninja is boasting about his white privilege by doing this. He has the potential to influence millions of kids and chooses to be a sack of beans. Use your platform for good if you have the opportunity. Don't do a Ninja." Former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kermit shared a number of other posts from Jones, as well as these ones shared by Kooks after she was brought to his attention. In December 2020, she wrote, "Gamer boys ruin online games," specifically capitalized boys there. Looks like hate based on gender, doesn't it? That's what it looks like to me. In August 2022, she responded to a post about Alan Cudiccio, claiming he was mistaken for a waiter at Gamescom. Jones posted, "This is shameful behavior, proof that we can't make the games industry a safe and inclusive space when the higher-ups don't understand the importance of diversity and are all middle-aged white guys." Sounds pretty disparaging towards white males there. In January 2019, she took issue with Days Gone, writing, "I'm enjoying playing Days Gone, but at the same time, the lack of diversity really upsets me." She added in response to another user, like, even the camps are full of white people. So she clearly has animus towards white people here. But that's what Ubisoft says they're against, right? So utter lie, given the fact this woman is still employed by the company. She also took issues with gamers back in 2017. I know the industry itself is maturing, but the gamers, man, they need to sort themselves out. In 2019, she also posted, "Yay, diversity finally. No more middle-aged white men." So that seems pretty clear cut there. Diversity equals no more middle-aged white men. That is what Ubisoft says that is at the core of their company. Yet they say they don't tolerate abuse, hate, or harassment, which is exactly what they say is at the core of their company. Interesting how that works, right? So this company is full of contradictions. They have no principles. They're absolute liars. They clearly have an animus towards white men now. I think that's what this is saying very clearly. If you can't fire this woman, then that's what you're saying. You're saying that you hate white men, and you're totally fine with that. The company has also seen a number of its games listed on the Sweet Baby Inc. Detected Steam curator list that, in my opinion, acts as a boycott list created by Cabrutus Rambo, Brazilian gamer who now I think lives in Japan. At least that's what his latest posts on social media indicate. The list tracks all games that Sweet Baby Inc., a consultancy firm that pushes woke ideologies into video games, has worked on. Ubisoft games on the list include Assassin's Creed Valhalla and The Crew Motorfest. Would not be surprised if the company works with Sweet Baby Inc. in the future as well on any upcoming games. But that a lot of these controversies, Ubisoft has embroiled themselves in it. They're the ones who are doing this. And now they have an internal document here showing that they're going to continue, I guess, to embroil themselves into woke ideology, continue to hate on white men, specifically, it looks like. And I think that is how Ubisoft will die. And I think this is going to deeply affect them because they are indeed pushing these evil ideologies. And these evil ideologies, they might be successful for a short period of time. And I think we've seen that over the course of the past couple of years. But the Piper is coming to collect. And I don't see Ubisoft surviving into the long term if they continue to adopt and embrace this woke ideology. The sales just don't look like they're there. We're seeing video game developers get shut down. We're seeing companies get sold off. We're seeing companies like Embracer Group get split into 3 different companies now. We're seeing mass layoffs because of this embrace. And nevertheless, Ubisoft is going to embrace it. And it looks like they're going to embrace it until they become extinct. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know what you make of this internal document from Ubisoft. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but always speak the truth.